you along a beautiful, beautiful day here in Twin Cities. Today's program is very special. I'm going to open the program with a new friend. I haven't met her yet, but I'm meeting her now on this program. She is the new leader of the region for Comcast, Comcast, the cable company. Kaylin Hove is the regional senior vice president for the Twin Cities, and she's joining me here to say hello, number one, but also to talk about a phenomenal initiative that Comcast has underway to bring $1 million to minority businesses in Twin Cities. Kaylin, first of all, good to meet you. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane.
It is so great to meet you, man. I have heard so many things, great things about you over the years. So it's finally wonderful to make this connection. Thank you for having me on today.
Everything you heard is absolutely true.
So, I'm sure it is.
But you know what? I have to say, in the spirit of being a part of a mutual admiration society, you guys at Comcast have been phenomenal stewards of the public trust, of business principles, and of supporting the community in general, communities of color in particular. So I want to thank you for that. I also wanted to disclose for our listeners, and in the spirit of transparency, that your company is a customer of my company, McFarlane Media. You are a regular advertiser in Insight News and in other ethnic media that I work with, including Latino, Asian, Native American, and African media. So that's important to establish that the relationship we have is a broad, expansive one that we think speaks to the emergence of the numbers, the demographics of our community. So talk about, if you would, this $1 million investment that people can still apply for.
They absolutely can. We are so excited about it. It's called Comcast Rise, and it's just part of our ongoing effort to advance digital equity and help provide underrepresented small business owners with access to digital tools and the funding they need. So RISE stands for, just so you know, Al, representation, investment, strength, and empowerment. And as a corporate entity, it is our responsibility to ensure we're really representing the communities we serve, that we're investing back in them, that we're strengthening them, and we're empowering them. And I'll tell you, our small businesses owned by people of color are a group that really needs and deserves this extra support right now, given the pandemic and the civil unrest. I know they were disproportionately impacted. And so this is one way, but we are so excited about it. We are giving 100 grants through this Rise Investment Fund for $10,000 each to small businesses owned by people of color in the 7-county metro area. So that's $1 million that will be given out right here in the Twin Cities area in the month of November. And the application process just opened October 1st. It goes through the 14th, so it is surely not too late. And we just want to ensure we're getting the word out. So everyone who has a need has an equal opportunity to apply for this $10,000 grant. And Al, let me just say, there are no strings attached. You don't have to be a Comcast customer or anything. We just want to provide this investment into our community and into these small businesses.
You say no strings attached. Let me say that there is support attached, because not only is the opportunity there for a business to receive a grant of $10,000, but some may be eligible for marketing and technical support too. That's in addition. Talk about that, if you would.
That is true. Through the RISE program, we also have technology makeovers. And what that allows is us to go into a business and assess what their business needs are. As you know, internet and connectivity and cybersecurity are also important to small businesses. So one form of the RISE program is going in and offering these technology makeovers, which could include basic internet, voice services, also laptops and equipment if they have a need for that. So we really assess the business needs. And that's one other way through the RISE program these small businesses can take advantage of what we're offering.
So what's the background? I know that this is one of the many markets this program is operating in. Talk about the expansiveness of this and the bigger picture, because it's not just Twin Cities.
It isn't.
To talk about the whole picture and then talk about the why.
Uh,
You said it a little bit, but say more about the why.
Yeah, absolutely. So we launched the Rise Investment Program, which is this grant program, back in March, and it started with 5 cities across the United States. Twin Cities was not one of them. We gave $5 million out in grants with that first phase. This is the second phase. There's 6 more cities, so $6 million. We are thrilled that the Twin Cities region was one that was selected to be part of it. And as we move forward with these grants, you'll see over time we'll be launching more initiatives that these small businesses will be able to leverage too. So, when you ask the why behind it, we believe we have a real responsibility to not just talk about change, but help drive change. And investing in these small businesses that are the heartbeat of our communities, no matter what location they are, is so important to everybody involved. And we believe that if we invest in them, it's going to result in not only that business's success, but really more success for the community as a whole, with more jobs being created. And it'll give us sustainable growth within our regions over time.
Kaylin, talk about how people apply. How do they got a few days still, so they shouldn't wait.
They should.
And it's only 100 businesses are going to be, but 100 is a huge number. So let me not minimize that. How do people who are listening, or if you know somebody that's in a business that's owned by a person of color, how do we get them connected to applying?
Perfect. First thing is you will go out into www.comcastrise.com. So it's just comcastrise.com. All of the information to apply is right there. It's not a long, lengthy process, but obviously there is a process involved with it. And the criteria for being eligible is really, fairly minimal. You need to be in business for 3 years, have 1 to 25 employees, and be owned by a person of color. So it's really that simple. And the reason for the 3 years is we have found that's such a critical mark for small businesses. That tends to often be the stage where it's kind of make or break it. So that's really the key criteria to keep in mind. And the application closes on October 14th. So the clock is ticking, but we have every hour up until the close of business on October 14th to get the applications in.
Phenomenal. We've got about 2 minutes left for this segment. Kaylin, I wanted to take a minute to ask you about your personal story. Let me welcome you to Twin Cities. You've been here a few months now, but welcome you to your new position as the Regional Senior Vice President for the Twin Cities. What does it mean, first of all? And what's your personal mission, your personal story?
Thank you for asking. I've actually lived in the Twin Cities for about 30 years now. And being the leader now of the entire Twin Cities region, I'm humbled and honored to do so. I mean, I represent, obviously, a company that really values diversity in gender and race, et cetera. And that was really important to me when I came here. I also understand that the products and the services that we provide are so important, whether it is in a business or a home, just personal lives. And so knowing that we're playing such a key role in keeping people and businesses connected is important to me. So customer experience and employee experience are top of mind for me, but just ensuring that we're making a key impact in the company or in the communities in which we serve. I don't want to sit behind a desk just cheering on an organization. I want to be in the community along with my organization, making an impact in the small and the big ways.
One of the things that you do so phenomenally here is through Internet Essentials. That's a program that we've partnered with you on. Before you leave, take a minute to talk about how Internet Essentials has been a mainstay of connecting with and supporting families, children, communities with broadband.
Yes, that is a program we're so proud of and so excited about, because talk about a program that's made a difference. We've had this program for 15 years now. And what we do is we provide internet services and even laptops, if there's a need there, to low-income people. If you are on the on the food program through school, etc., you can easily get this low-cost internet. When we talk about making a difference in digital equality, we know there's been a divide. And this is one way that we've really been able to step in and provide, parents, students, businesses, the connectivity they need if possibly their budget doesn't support it on its own.
Karen, I want to thank you so much. Have I said your last name properly, Karen Hove?
Hove. Yep.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Karen, I want to thank you so much again, and congratulations on your appointment to the leadership role at Comcast Twin Cities. Thank you for what you all are doing with the Rise initiative. I think it's important. And I want to remind people listening here on KFAI, people who are watching on our social media platforms, that you've got a few days. Don't waste the time. $1 million is on the table, and 100 businesses here in Twin Cities are going to be able to get $10,000 grants to support their business, and a potential to get other technical and support services as well. So please pay attention, and you know what to do. Kaylin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for helping us spread the word. I look forward to connecting again soon.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Al McFarlane. This is Conversations with Al McFarlane. I want to continue and pivot to my colleague, W. Foster Graham. Brother Graham, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, and I'm excited.
And your sound is not good. You have to give me some more volume.
Okay.
There you go. I see you, but I don't hear you quite fully.
Okay, let me try this again here.
Okay. So good to see you. I don't know if you can do something with your microphone, and hopefully we'll be joined in the studio at KFAI by Lady J. Is Lady J in the studio, Kelvin or AZ? We're looking to talk about all things books for the balance of the program. And there she is, Lady J. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine. Well,
Good.
I'm getting ready for my program, which, as you know, follows Al's program. So I'm moving like a one-armed paper hanger here, trying to get everything together.
You got double duty today, Lady J, because we're
You
talking
do.
about your book, and I took the opportunity to bring in W. Foster Graham, who is the book review editor of
Very
Insight
good.
News. He's going to be doing the book review with you as well, and we're
Well, thank
also
you.
expecting another guest in a few minutes who is responsible for creating the upcoming Black Book Festival. I'll get the right name. But Lady J, let me say to you, first of all, thank you for all you've been doing for a while in radio and in music and in culture and in motivating and activating our community, first of all. And thank you for also
Wow.
giving me grace from time to time to push the Conversations with Al McFarlane agenda when we overtime sometimes.
Yep. Well, you're very, very welcome. I recognize that as a member of the KFAI community, the Black community, the Blues community, if we don't help each other, no one will. So we do that. And quite often our shows blend together seamlessly, and you don't even know it, Al.
I have the feeling. I have the feeling. I know it all works together. You know. So talk about your book. What's the name of it? And
Well,
let's
you
take.
know, I in my movements as a one-armed paper hanger, I realized I left the actual book over on the other table. So give me a grace period myself of about 5 seconds to actually grab a copy of the book
Sure,
so you can
sure,
see it.
sure. And WD, while she's doing that, you're going to check on our friend to see if she's going to be able to join the program. We're looking for. Check your microphone again, WD.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's very faint.
It's
You
very
know, and it would be great if there was a way to bring your microphone closer and get a stronger voice. I'm not sure if you can do that or not.
Okay. Well, my mic's on my headphones. Can you hear me
Okay.
now? Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
I do hear you. I do hear you. While we're waiting for Lady J to come back on, talk about the upcoming event, the book festival.
Yes. Well, the festival itself is called the Minnesota Black Authors Expo, and that was founded by Devonna Pittman and Jasmine Boudou. And what they did was they needed a place to sell their books because they had written novels, but they weren't sure how to sell them and how to market them. So Devonna Bentley Pittman went to Neon over on West Broadway to see about an event space. That event in 2017 became the Minnesota Black Authors Expo. And that was a place where Black authors are supported and celebrated, and also a space where they can stimulate their income to sell their books.
Ooh, I didn't know about this place. I'm going to have to find out more information.
Yes, it is an annual event, and it's coming up on Saturday, October 23rd from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And you can access it. It's televised either by Facebook Live or 9 North Channel 15.
Oh, very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Graham. W.D. Foster Graham, is that correct?
That is my name.
Thank you. Well, I'm Jackie Maddox or Jacqueline Maddox, known as Lady J around these here parts. Also, I work for SPNN Television as well. So I'm truly a one-armed paper hanger. And it was at the SPNN studios that we put together the book launch. And I want to send a big shout out to In Black Ink. They're the folks that put this book together for me and published it. I hope you can see it because I'm very, very proud of the cover here on this book. Can you see it? It's called Root Wisdom from the Elders Circle. I'm not as te-
Yeah, they were getting it now. Back a
technologically,
little bit,
I'm not
right
as
there. Perfect.
technologically adept as some people here because I'm just an old radio and TV person. So there you go.
Hey,
There's the
Well,
book.
I hope
Put
everybody
together by
listening on the
Rick.
radio. I hope everybody listening on the radio can see it as well. What does that mean? What's that mean, Alan McFarlane? It means what we do in radio is with the power of imagination. And our job with
Exactly.
words and voice is to create pictures in people's minds. And I think we always do that all the time. But it's awesome, Lady J, when we actually also are able to create something, a written document, as you have done. And so
Thank you.
say the name of the book again.
The book is called Root Wisdom from the Elders Circle. And I chose that name because it's in reference to what I think of as the blues music. Blues, if you actually listen to the lyrics of the blues, it's a piece of information that's being handed down from the ancestors to us as their modern descendants, whether they're talking about black cat bones or whether they're talking about a way to behave man to woman. It's still wisdom from our great, great, great grandparents coming down to us. But along with that also came a particular way of life, and that's what the book is all about. Root wisdom from the Elders Circle.
So it would be cool, Lady J, if you'd read some of it. I mean, I think I'd love to hear your voice and
Ooh,
hear. So if you would take a minute and figure out a passage that you love. I know you love it all, but let's introduce people to this voice in print.
well, thank you. Thank you so much. What I actually have here is the manuscript that became the book because
Mhm.
I was so reluctant to deface one of the books, especially if I can sell it. Let's just be honest. So I have something that I actually turned into the printed page. This is what was given to the bookbinders.
Sure.
And so the beginning of the book, I start every chapter with a quote from someone within the music community or the acting community, as this is from the fabulous Melvin Van Peebles, who most of us know as the author and creator of Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, who has
Hmm.
just recently passed away. But one of my favorite quotes I started the book with, and it says, "You can either be what you want or you can have what you want. You can't do both."
hmm.
It's just
Amazing.
something our youngsters need to know. Thank you for choosing to read Root Wisdom from the Elder Circle. And although I have been to college, I don't have a string of alphabets after my name. I have even been to a couple of trade schools, and yes, I have learned a couple of trades. But that's not what I want to share with you today. What I have to share today is knowledge you can't get in college, not in the conventional sense of the word, anyway. It's knowledge from the school of hard knocks. This knowledge is called gnosis in the metaphysical world and is empirical because it comes from my own 65 years of experience from my own trial and error. And now, in the time honored tradition of a craftsman handing down his or her secrets to an apprentice, I want to share this information with you. What I want you to know is what I have learned about magic. Now, don't let that word scare you or even put you off. It means different things to different people. But what I mean by the term magic is that which constitutes spirit, consciousness, and energy. In the idiom of author and anthropologist Don Carlos Castaneda, we can even call it power, because all of those concepts of magic, power, consciousness, energy, and spirit are one and the same. They are always to describe the numinous, the mystical, the supernatural world of the metaphysical. This book is about their interdependence and what you will be capable of doing and being once you grasp the significance of this information. Let me put it this way. A religious person is someone who believes in a higher power. A mystic, a sage or philosopher is someone who not only believes, but has had an epiphany, an unshakable experience that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that there is a higher power. But a shaman, a magic maker, a root worker, a medicine man, or a medicine woman is someone who not only believes and has had proof of a higher power, but also knows what to do with that information. This book is intended to help you act on spiritual information. And when you have finished reading this book, you will have learned how and when to put it into practice. You will have also learned the purpose of this spiritual information. The book is intended as a kind of blueprint to help you use the following spiritual information appropriately and to map out a way of being that allows you to live in harmony and in alignment with the eye in the sky. You will form a mutual relationship with a great creator that allows you to tap into the universal energy field. And it is that connection that will allow you to draw down the blessings. You'll be able to walk the path, so to speak, a path that will be guided by the light of the cosmic principle. And when you do so, you will also learn how to create a world that includes every component you desire, as long as those desires are in harmony with the sacred, the divine, the higher power, the cosmic consciousness, the Tao, or the source of all energy. You can call it what you will or give it any name you choose, but it is that which is behind all spiritual disciplines, all religious doctrines, all conventional creeds, and all orthodox means of mainstream beliefs. And if you find that you are indeed willing to stand unaided before the cosmic soul self, that sentient life force, then you will be the recipient of a continual flow of empowering energy that is tangible, malleable, and alive with possibilities. And it is that I am calling magic.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wow. Jackie, I'm pulling my hair out. And if
Why
you're
is that?
looking at me on YouTube, you know that I'm bald already.
Mm.
That is so wonderful, so rich, and so real from my point of view. Thank you so much for sharing it and for doing it.
And it is so African.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm. I saw you both stop and look. It's like, yeah, it's an African way of knowing. Because in reality, what I have written in the book is something way, way back that was called pharaonic thought.
Mhm.
It was what pharaohs thought. It's what they had to think in order to enter the Holy of Holies. A priest, even a high priest, had access to the outside of the temple, but only the pharaoh could step on the inside and be in the space of the Neter, Neter, the space that they believed their gods resided in. You had to be able to think in a particular way in order to access that power and that energy, or in order to sit on the throne, male or female. You had to have a particular consciousness.
And so you've revealed an African way of knowing, right? Another
Correct?
way of assembling the world, of assembling reality. And
You
you've
got it.
enabled, in doing so, people to step back and to be not impressed by the propaganda that is incessant, and it seems all around us all the time. It is, but through it, see differently, see clearly, and view a pathway, a system of order and of organizing that will bring personal and cosmic results,
You
a
got it.
way of walking through existence differently, and with a sense of purpose, a sense of knowledge, a sense of fearlessness, maybe a sense of fear, understanding the power and value of fear, but not being stopped by fear. What do you
That's
think?
right. I think you're absolutely right. And in fact, in the book, I call it walking in between the worlds, because you walk in between the material world and the world of magic or the spiritual world, and how to balance those two things together, how to live in this world. Or, in other words, as the Christian avatar Jesus always said, you can be in the world, but not of it. You have to know that which is relevant versus that which is not relevant. And one of the main tenets in the book, I give you all several guidelines, but one of the main things is always about how to mind your own business, and your
Mhm.
business will be yours. You know, most people,
Yeah.
they dissipate their power because they're so busy involved in what other people are doing, saying, having, getting, of driving, when in reality you can maintain your own power by maintaining your own business. You know what that saying of playing it close to your vest or playing it close to the chest. Yeah, stay out of the cultural consensus is one of the tenets I bring up in the book. I know that doesn't stand well in our world today, where everybody's on Facebook or who book or that book, or your
Mhm.
phone. You can connect 17 different ways with your uncles and aunts and cousins, and you know what color drawers they're wearing. What does that have to do with your own personal reality? It has nothing to do with it. Power spent is power lost. You have to learn how to maintain your power, how to maintain that energy, because you're going to need it if you're going to work any kind of magic. And as I just told you in the book, magic is all about how to touch those extra energy fields and draw down what it is you want. You can't get it if you don't have the energy for it. You can't get it if you're not in harmony with that which gives to you.
So how do you look at history, Jackie? How do you look at what we've been taught as history and what you may know differently as history? I have two thoughts as we speak. One is a sense of the power of the immediate now, the sense of the timelessness of the time, the sense that um, nothing that ever happened ended, and nothing that ever will happen has not begun already. That the moment we are in fact, contains the all, right? And it's
Right.
a question of the awareness of the power of this moment, the power of this breath that liberates and that allows us to navigate across worlds and through worlds and create worlds, bubbles of thought, bubbles of energy and of ideas that have form and that can be understood, interpreted, and enjoyed, or that can destroy. What do you think?
I think you just said it all right there, because those that are successful in life, the Albert Einsteins and so forth, they believe that same thing. They, first of all, they never let anybody else's thought pattern stop them from doing what they know that they are to be doing. They know what they're after. They know it's like a light that's on ahead of you, and you know all you have to do is follow that light, whether it's a blue light. In my case, it is a blue light, or a white light, a green light, red light, whatever color you resonate with. If you follow that light, you're going to get to the end of your goal. You're going to get where you were meant to be. And all the other stuff is extraneous and it will fall by the wayside. Unfortunately, a lot of people fall by the wayside as well because they want your attention. And that's also in the book. Where your attention goes is where your intentions go. And they're both one and the same. What you intend is also what you attend to in life. And a lot of people find that very difficult because they want your attention. They want your power. They want whatever it is that you have because they can't find a way for themselves to get it. And in reality, they can. And all they have to do is think like you, Al, what you just said. Everything is always ongoing. It is the past is the present is the past, the future is the past. In fact, that's what one of the concepts of the crossroads was all about. Robert Johnson was always being accused of having met the devil at the crossroads and got his power on the guitar from that. But in reality, that's an ancient African thought pattern. At a crossroads, three things come together. Three things: the past, the present, and the future. And when you're standing in the middle of the crossroads, it's up to you to make the choice. Which one? That's an ancient African philosophy.
Mhm. And it reminds me of the scriptural note where it said Ezekiel said he saw him, he was the wheel in the middle of a wheel. And so that middleness, that essentialness is what you're talking about. And it applies to time, it applies to energy, it applies to what we do, but being centered, sated, and that has cosmic implications as well. Let me
Absolutely.
broaden the conversation a little bit to bring in Brother W.D. Foster Graham. Now, are you able to hear him clearly enough, Lady J, in the studio? And is his
I,
voice
I
coming
I
across
think so.
good
I
enough?
know his voice is very soft, but I
Yeah.
keep seeing him. He's nodding, and his glasses are picking up the light of his computer screen. So it's a eerie but beautiful sight because they look like he's wearing blue lenses,
Ah,
like a root doctor. You know, he's
well,
wearing the blue glasses of wisdom.
you can adjust the volume at the studio to make sure that our listeners here at KFAI can hear his voice properly. I'm not hearing it properly through my computer.
You're absolutely right. I can turn him up. All he's got to do is
Great.
start talking. Mr. Graham, your thoughts on all of this?
Well, my thoughts are that I can appreciate the fact that there's a very Afrocentric concept to it, and I think about when we're taught past, present, and future. I think about a saying that I grew up with: that yesterday is a canceled check, tomorrow is a promissory note, today is cash, so spend it wisely. So usually, when you go through a day, what are we doing with the cash that we have of today?
Correct.
And
Absolutely. That's very good. See, it's very not only Afrocentric, but ancient centric as well, because I'm talking all the way back to before the water covered the continents. Remember, it was a big giant landmass. We were separated by what was called the flood, in Noah's day. But every culture has that story about giant masses of water covering the land and killing some people, separating some people. But that is what made the division between Asia, South America, Africa, Europe. It was the water that covered. Before the water covered, we were there as human beings. I believe our civilization, us as human beings in civilization, not as cavemen hitting each other over the heads, but as actual civilized human beings, were way older than anthropologists and archaeologists give us credit for. They there's something going on there, and I'll talk about that on another show. There's a reason why they don't want to admit it. But when you look at that giant landmass, the center of it is always Africa. So we won't go into any detail on that because, as you see on the cover of my book, the head of this being is Africa, with the hair or the leaves of the root tree being the other continents. So I think we all practiced a particular way of worship, and it got sort of separated as we separated. This continent maintained this amount of the information. Someone over there maintained that amount of the information. But if you can put all of the different religious disciplines back together again. Remember when we were kids in biology class and you had those transparencies and you would put the transparencies back together and you would make the man and you would peel off the top layer of the skin, then was the muscular system, and you peel it off and then you got to the skeleton. If we could do that in reverse with all the religious disciplines, it will bring us all the way back to the original worship. And I think that what we are calling Egyptology is probably back as close as we can get to the original religious belief. But also, in my 50, 60 years of discovery and research, do you realize the pyramids and the hieroglyphics that are embossed on those pyramids are so old, even the ancient Egyptians didn't know what they meant. That takes it all the way back. There's also several schools of thought that when you look at the outside of the Sphinx and the pyramid, the lines on those buildings are water lines, not the desert, not sand. It's lines of water. So that was covered with water before it was ever covered with sand. So again, we're talking about a land and people that existed way before the archaeologists and anthropologists are giving us credit for. Remember, the Nile runs south to north, not north to south. It runs the other way, and it's the oldest river in the world. So all of this is to say there's information that's been buried that we need to have access to. And I think in my book, I allude to how to get back to it.
I use the concept in my meditation and even on vision boards on my wall upstairs in my house here. And I've got some text, but I have the text surrounded by this notion of before the beginning and after the end. And so what you're addressing, I think, is what existed before the beginning and what will exist beyond the end. That the beginning and the end are limitations, and there is something greater. Yeah,
Man-made
yeah,
limitations.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, how do we operate in the realm that is not bound by beginnings and endings, but by
By by by not looking for profit in everything, for one thing, because that's what limits a lot of the search for knowledge. Remember, in the 50s and 60s, we were sure that we were going to be living out in space by now. The cartoons like the Jetsons and so forth, and even the touching of man, one step for mankind, a giant leap. We thought we were on our way to moving out in space. The thing that stopped human growth and in human progression was this concept of money, of for profit. This, if we pay for that, we won't be able to buy a Lexus, or whatever the powers that be have determined. But in reality, mankind was never meant to stop where we are right now. We were meant to go on and move forward and move further, whether it was out in space or not, whether it was just hover cars that existed over the ground. And it would have eliminated the hunger, the poverty, the crime, the grime, everything that is going on in the world today. But somebody is making money off of that, and that is why that exists.
W.D. Foster Graham, talk about your being an author as well. You've written several books now, and you're working with Insight to bring Black authors to the forefront. First of all, let people know the titles, your books, and what they're about, and then your work in general, but particularly in supporting the upcoming exposition to help people become more aware of and supportive of Black authors.
Well, my novels I wrote are part of a series. It's called the Christopher Family Novel Series, and they are about a self-made African American multimillionaire who later becomes a billionaire. So through those series, you're going to see this family, this wealthy and powerful African American family. The titles of the books in order are, mark my words, books 1, 2, and 3. And then there is You Never Know. And there is Never Give Up, and then the latest addition to my Christopher family novel series is called The Right to Be. They're different genres, so many of them are historical fiction, some are family sagas. Never Give Up was also Who Done It, and The Right to Be is a romance novel.
You are just smiling so much, sir. I just have to ask you about that. I don't know if Al can see what I'm seeing, but you're in your joy right now. And can we ask why that is?
Well, I writing has been my passion since I was old enough to pick up a pen. And my definition of success wasn't so much about the money, it was about paying it forward, which goes into how I became involved so far as the Minnesota Black Authors Expo. Because, hey, I wanted to have a vehicle to support other Black authors, which in the process of going to demand representation for Black authors in Minnesota's public libraries, I talked with Al, and Al offered me the position of book review editor, so I could showcase Black authors. And as a result of that, I connected with Dorothy Nins. She is the executive director of the Minnesota Black Authors Expo. And it's been a beautiful partnership because before I talked to her, there's probably a myth going around that one, blacks don't read, and two, there are no black authors in Minnesota. Well,
Yes.
well, okay, Lady J. Well, the Minnesota Black Authors Expo, puts a lie to that because it's just a beautiful, diverse array of genres written by Black authors. And so, in presenting the expo, this is the opportunity for featured authors and also for, say, editors and narrators and publishers to be able to have access to our authors. Included with that was I was happy to support the fact that they have a kids corner and then writers boot camp.
Oh, very good.
So writers boot
I
camp, yes.
absolutely. As far as Black people don't read, I'm in my 60s. I'm over 65 now, even though I said in the book that I was 65. Well, that was then. So I'm
Mhm.
over 65 now, and in my lifetime, every one of my sisters and brothers and all of the children and the nephews, that's how we trained all of the children is with a book. Sit on the
Mhm.
little potty and read your book while you're waiting for whatever is supposed to be happening. We That's how we train them. I have 2 sons that are disabled, and they are the dedication of my book. But they are their disability, they have hemophilia and hemophilia B with an inhibitor, and it's a very difficult process of being in the hospital and transfusions and so forth. They were having a very difficult time with that. I encouraged them to write about their experience. So
Mhm.
one son is now a poet, and the other son is a rapper who's rapping about his hemophilia experiences. But not only do Black people read, we write, and we write with a vengeance. And
Mhm.
I think the Black Authors Expo, we probably need to get a little bit more promotion on that. And perhaps when I'm offline here, we can talk a little bit about someone coming on my radio show to talk about that. We need to promote that a little bit more, I think,
Definitely, definitely.
especially if somebody out there believes Black people don't read. Tell you, I went to a Catholic grade school here in St. Paul. I'm from St. Paul. I went to
Mhm.
Catholic grade school, and I went into school already knowing how to read. And why? From the funny papers way back in the old days. I learned from
Mhm.
reading the comics, and
Yes.
from the comics it went to books. Easily you could figure out what the circle over someone's head was saying. You know, and then I just learned how to read. But I grew up in a family. My mother and father, they read Westerns. My mother read Ellery Queen, the detective novels. If you didn't read in my family, something was the matter. So I
Mhm.
want to be sure everyone of any persuasion understands reading is Black, writing is Black.
That's so important, Lady J and WD. I just finished rereading the slave narratives of Frederick Douglass. he talks about how he came to learn to read, how he discovered the importance of reading, how the masters, the owners of the enslaved, worked so hard to prevent and deny the ability of Black people to read because they were certain that the capacity would be the death of their system, their economy, their control of human beings, the Africans that they had enslaved. And so to hear you talk about how integral a part of your family life reading was simply affirms what we've always known and how we've approached the importance of literacy in our community, in our families. And that is despite what those outside say, knowing that what they say from the outside is disinformation that attempts to discredit, marginalize, and make insignificant the drive that we bring to the acquisition and utilization of knowledge that sustains our culture, our community, our lives, and the knowledge that allows us to sometimes, whether we intend it or not, to change the world. For changing the world is exactly what we are doing and have been doing. We've changed the meaning of democracy. We've changed the meaning of freedom in this country. And I think we continue to play a critical role in shaping what human sensibility is around the notion of equality, around the notion of freedom, around the notion of what it means to be a human being. I also was thinking, as you were talking, Lady J, about my own experience, my love affair with the word. My love affair with the word. And that's what I say. That's how I describe it. And I remember as a kid, my dad used to sit me at the kitchen table and ask me, require me to, invite me to, allow me to read the newspaper to him. And I loved reading the newspaper, and I
Yes.
read as long as he let me read. And he would always tell me how well I was doing as a reader. And he complimented me on my diction, on my enunciation, on pronunciation. And so all of these interactions strengthened my resolve to really know that my relationship with the word was a gift, right? And so I approach it like that, and I treasure and value this. Well, if I have it, I'm telling you that every other human being has it as well. We simply need to be invited to understand the power of language, that we possess the power of the word and our relationship with the word. We know through our teaching in religion that in the beginning, right,
Right.
was the word. And so how do we personalize that again, once again, where that has actual daily practical life meaning for each of us, that we operate with a certainty about the presence of the word in our lives. That's what I think. Lady J, what do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, Al. I don't call myself a writer. I call myself a wordsmith, just
Mhm.
like a goldsmith or a silversmith.
Mhm.
I form the picture using words to put something here and put something there. And I believe it comes from my background as a writer working in television. I worked at WCCO television for several years writing the news. And so it was all about the pictures that the words make, leading up to the fire imagery or the drowning or whatever was going on the news. So I can never get out of the habit that words are pictures. I put the two things together all the time on radio because
Mhm.
your mind sees, your ear can see is what I'm getting at. You can see with your ear just like you
Mhm.
can smell with your eyes,
Mhm.
can't we? As soon as you see that steak, you know what it smells like.
I love it. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I'm a wordsmith. And I started in 2012 putting this book together. I finally finished in 2017. And then it took me and Onura and Raquette CSR of In Black Ink. It took us 4 years on our journey together because they went from a for-profit business to a not-for-profit in the meantime. And I hung with them through the whole process. And we finally came up with Root Wisdom from the Elder Circle. I'm very proud of it. I'm
Yes.
proud of my relationship with them. And I'm even prouder of the fact that it's a Black African American husband and wife team, that because I searched for a Black publisher and I
Mhm,
found one. And they are based in St. Paul, right
mhm.
by the Golden Time Coffee Shop. Their offices are right behind there on Selby Avenue. And they were quite accessible to me. And we together put this event together. We put the book together, and now we're looking forward to the Black Authors Expo together as well. I'm pretty sure, Mr. Graham, that they've been in contact with you or with Dorothy as well to talk about this Black Authors Expo.
Well, I
I
can tell
think
you
they
that
have.
Riquette and Anura represent what they call human beings par excellence, the finest
Really,
of what it means
really.
to be a human being.
Do you,
So,
do you know Raquette is actually Ghanan? She came from Ghana to Minnesota to America. And
mhm,
we don't have enough time for me to tell you the whole story, but when I look at her, I just smile all the time because I love looking at her face and
mhm.
seeing Africa in action. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Yay.
she's
reading right now. I'm reading Sheikh Anta Diop's African Civilization. In fact, I have to get the book your proper name, but he talks about cultural identity and the need to create cultural unity in the African world, meaning in the world. Listen,
Mhm.
we're almost out of time here. Before we do, I wanted
no.
WD to again. W, you've got 3 or 4 stories coming up in the upcoming edition of Insight News. Why don't you say the titles of the reviews that you did that will be appearing in this week's paper, and then finally close WD with an invitation to people to come to the Black Authors Expo.
I will. Upcoming reviews that I have would be I have a review about a children's book called Val's World by author M. Ann Machen Pritchard. I also had the review by a 10-year-old black male. His name is Zephaniah Martin, called Jaheim's First Kwanzaa. And I was so proud to do that review.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yes, and my next article was about the history and about all about the Minnesota Black Authors Expo. So I invite you to tune in via Facebook Live or 9 North Channel 15, or register on the Minnesota Black Authors Expo website as a viewer for Saturday, October 23rd between 1 and 2 p.m. And just an FYI, yours truly will also be a featured author for this
Very
expo
good.
event. And
Yeah,
just leave one comment in the words of Toni Morrison. If there is a book that you haven't read, if there's a story you wish to read and it hasn't been written yet, then you must be the one to write it.
hello.
There we go. Lady J, where do we buy your book? How do we get this wonderful work?
Well, Insight News has a copy of it. I'm pretty sure Mr. Foster Graham will find it and do the book review. And I would be very, very pleased if you would do so. And you can find it, though, at www.inblackinc.org. O-R-G. It's an organization, all one word, INBLACKINK, in blackinc.org. The name of the book, Root Wisdom from the Elders Circle.
What a wonderful program. Thank you, Lady J, and thank you, W.D. Foster Graham. Thanks to my previous guest, Kaylin Hove from Comcast. This has been a great show. Simple as that. I'm so pleased to have had this time with you. And I invite you listeners on KFAI to check us out online, on Facebook, on YouTube. Support this conversation, support this interaction. Like it, share it, tell people that we're doing this. And actually, we're doing this every day on social media. I'm Al McFarlane. We'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you.
Oh, Queen Justice, where are you? Did they beat you up or no? Lock you on the ground, take the crown away from you?
Oh, Lady Liberty, red, white, and blue. Did they take your dignity with their bigotry? Teach you that you're born to lose.
Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. Better believe all of up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough. We've had enough of all the rules you break. We've had enough of all the money you make. We've had enough. No more life at stake. We've had enough. This is a proclamation. It's been 400 years and we're 400 late. Together we stand from state to state. Going back in time won't make America great. We need justice now, people won't wait.
Action, no more distraction. Every step we take, we gain traction. If it can happen to one, it can happen to all. United we stand, divided we fall.
Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. Better believe, roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough. We've had enough
of all the rules you were breaking.
We had enough
of all the money you were making.
We had enough.
No more life gets taken.
We had enough.
This is a proclamation.
Free or guilty, it's gonna get filthy. You better believe, just roll up your sleeves. It's gonna get rough, it's gonna be tough. We all agree, we've had enough. We've had enough of all the rules you're breaking. We've had enough. All the money you're making. We've had enough. No more life gets taken. We've had enough. This is the proclamation. We've had enough.
Trayvon Martin and Tommy Rice.
We've had enough.
Michael Brown and Eric gonna pay the price.
We've had enough.
Philando, Breonna, George Floyd.
What? We've had enough.
So many gone, how can we fill the void?
How can we feel?
We've had enough.
John Crawford, I know you've heard.
We've had enough.
Sandra Bland, come on and take a stand.
We've had enough.
Sean Bell, what the hell?
We've had enough.
Freddie Gray, did you hear what I said?
We've had enough.
This is a proclamation.